What is up, my YouTube people? My name is Jake Fine, and today I want to talk about the one thing I wish I had known before going into music. Strangely, it doesn't really have to do with music, but more to do with creativity and discipline. The one thing I wish I had known is how to delay my gratification. In other words, I wish I had known how to trade my comfort for improvement. And let me explain. I think many of us taking this identity of a musician and music and a creative without really understanding what it entails to pursue it in full. And that's okay, especially to begin with. But I think when you start taking on the identity of, I am an artist, I am a musician, this is what I want for myself for the sustainable future, what we often don't know how to do after making that decision internally is delay the gratification in order to become good. Now, technical proficiency in any subject is not the utmost goal within creative field. However, it is very important. Likewise, if you want to do something purely creative like songwriting, there's also an element of delaying your gratification in order to get good at songwriting or really get good at anything, whether that is soccer or learning a language or working out and fitness, whatever it may be that you take on that subject as part of your identity. If you don't know how to delay your gratification and you don't know how to take on discomfort, it becomes really hard to make the next step towards improving and assimilating more technical and creative aspects of whatever that field is. So for example, I didn't grow up as any sort of prodigy or virtuoso or anything like that. I grew up fairly musical, but I think what I was lacking in was an understanding that I would have to get past this place in which I felt uncomfortable with how not good I was in my own eyes, right? In order to get past that point to a place where I felt like I was improving and the gratification would come a little bit later on. I don't even think that I needed to wait that long for the gratification to come. But man, it took me like years, even through college. I went to Berklee College of Music from 2011 to 2015. It wasn't even till I was almost done with Berklee that I understood the concept that I was going to need to take on more and more discomfort in my learning and in my improving and in my creativity in order to get to a place of more full gratification and freedom in whatever field that was, whether that meant creating a lot of productions and mixes that I felt sounded bad, or practicing jazz solos even though I felt very bad at jazz. Whatever it was, I think what I really wish I had known was that if I take on and face my discomfort head on and work through it in a way that feels productive and hopefully good at the end of the day, then the gratification would come back in full and even more so later on. It wasn't even until, I'm 27 now, I think. I'm losing track of time. I'm 27 now. And I think it took me years and years to understand that there was an even deeper fulfillment in kind of delaying what felt great at the moment. So maybe what felt great at the moment was to kind of convince myself that I'm practicing scales when I'm actually watching anime and kind of half playing guitar, which is, that has its own place to passively play your instrument while you're watching TV. That has its own place and time. But I think I had the identity of an artist, but I didn't really understand at a certain point what was involved in order to make it a larger part of my life, if that makes sense. So what does that mean for me, and what does that mean for all of you? I think it really means that in a healthy way, you approach your discomfort head on. And all of those little things that you're not great at yet, you kind of face them with a full heart and you try to approach them in a way that even though it doesn't feel great now, you trust that when you approach that discomfort, right, you get comfortable with the discomfort and you get to a place later on where improvement is part of your daily practice and improvement is something that is enjoyable at the end of the day. I didn't really have any of this prepared. I just kind of turned on the camera and spoke. So I hope I'm making sense here. This is just one of those honest things from me to you, in terms of my experience with, feeling like music was a big part of my identity since I was young, but not understanding what aspects of it would allow me to create a life around the creativity. This is probably the biggest thing, which is that I had this avoidance of discomfort. And I think I wish I had understood that if I really face it, I would become comfortable in that practice and that so much more gratification in full would keep returning back to me, not even so later on. I'm not talking like it's going to feel good 10 years from now. I'm saying like if today I do the thing that I know I should do, or that maybe, I want to do, but it's uncomfortable, so I don't. If I do that, I'll even feel good by tomorrow. There are all these little returns that'll keep coming back at me along the way. And I think hopefully, and this is something I'm still hoping for. I mean, I'm pretty overworked as is, juggling social media, trying to make a career out of music, trying to make streaming work, right? All of those things definitely build up. And I'm not saying that the journey is easy if you just learn how to be uncomfortable, because you need to gauge that as you go. But what I am saying is you can begin to place a trust in yourself that over time, you start doing what needs to be done to cultivate creativity, cultivate technical proficiency, and do all those things along the way that create both a sense of technical proficiency, but also a sense of greater fulfillment as an artist. So to all of you out there that feel like, you have the identity, you've assimilated the identity of an artist internally, but you don't know how to face that in terms of, your sustainable future, I think that's what I would suggest would be not to make yourself unhappy. Please do not do that. This is not me saying go make yourself unhappy, but more face those little things that make you uncomfortable within your creativity and work through them. Massage them out until those knots are kind of loosened and you feel like your creativity becomes a more fluid practice. And then when you can delay your gratification in that way, I think the gratification will continue to come back even more in full with more confidence, and you'll be enriched. So thank you for listening to my rambles. I hope I make at least a little bit of sense. And yeah, I'll see you all next time.